Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've done this a few times before. Back in Season of the Hunt, we had a look at exotic fusion rifles. Then we took a peek at our exotic bows. And in this video, we'll be checking out our exotic pulse rifles. Just like the other two videos though, the point is not to outright tell you that this weapon is better than that weapon, because it'd kinda be silly. These pulse rifles are all unique and can thrive in different aspects of the game. Plus, they all feel a little bit different. So one pulse rifle might suit a player better than another. So what's gonna happen is each weapon's gonna get a super special code name. I made a community post a couple days ago looking for suggestions and got over 200 responses. A lot of great ones too. It was really tough picking just one for each weapon. But to everyone who participated, thank you. But we'll get a brief overview of each weapon's stats and perks, check out their damage numbers, and give you my thoughts on their performance. Kinda like 5 little mini condensed weapon reviews. So then you can decide for yourself which exotic pulse rifle might fit you the best. I'll be dropping my personal rankings at the end of the video, which are sheerly personal preference, but feel free to drop yours down in the comments if you so choose. And if you do end up enjoying this video, both liking and subscribing are greatly appreciated. But as always, only do so if you feel that the content is worth supporting. But with that, let's get into the video and take a look at our first exotic pulse rifle. First up, we'll be diving into Vigilance Wing. Codename, Death is My Friend. This is a fantastic PvP pulse rifle. It's always been knocking on the door of being a truly elite weapon, but never could quite achieve that status. Death is My Friend is going to fire a 5-round burst at 530 rounds per minute, and has a catalyst that allows it to fire in full auto. It's also sporting a very respectable stat line. Harsh Truce will proc when an ally dies around you, giving you health regen and boosting your movement speed. Hence, Death is My Friend. Also, the Last Stand exotic perk kicks in when you're the last living member of your fire team. When this happens, you're going to see a big increase to your recovery and the weapon's performance. In terms of damage output, in PvE, Vigilance Wing will hit my favorite punching bag, Carl the Colossus, for 1,263 points of damage on a crit. So if the full 50-round magazine lands as crits, we're looking at 63,150 points of potential damage. Time to empty the magazine comes in at 5.4 seconds, so single mag damage per second sits at 11,694. And while Death is My Friend is a really nice feeling pulse rifle and can certainly be used in PvE, it was really crafted with PvP in mind. In the Crucible, bullets are going to crit for 24 points of damage, and body shots will land for 16. This is going to give us an optimal time to kill of 0.77 seconds by landing 9 crits. But 5 crits and 5 body shots will get the job done also. The body shot time to kill comes in at 1.27 seconds with 13 shots landed. Vigilance Wing is one of those weapons that has just felt so easy to use in my opinion. It can 2-burst enemy players with a very competitive time to kill. This only requires a 50% crit ratio, and it has a friendly amount of aim assist. So this could be a great option for someone with limited Crucible experience, or less than perfect aim. In 6v6 game modes, you're going to see the Harsh Truce intrinsic trait proccing a good bit. The health regen and the movement speed boost are a really nice benefit for increasing your survivability. Then the Last Stand perk, while it's really only going to proc in survival or elimination game modes, it does give the weapon a really big performance boost, giving you a chance to clutch up and win the round for your team. One additional note, if you don't like those big heavy goalpost style sights, the Vigil of Saint 14 ornament is really going to open those up for you. I highly recommend it. So all that sounds pretty great, right? So why is Death is My Friend never considered an elite weapon? Well, this kinda feels like a boots on the ground gun with that 5-round burst. It can be pretty unruly from the air, and it does take an extended amount of time to fire that 5-round burst, making it feel more in line with an auto rifle. So you gotta commit to your gunfights, cause it does not excel at peak shooting. Thus, when moving into higher end content, having a gun that doesn't duel really well and can't be relied on from the air doesn't fit the bill. In general though, Vigilance Wing can be a great gun for the right player. Next up, at Juju. Codename, the Cursed Guitar. This is a returning exotic from Destiny 1 that does a great job in helping you regen your super as quickly as possible through the intrinsic trait String of Curses. Kills will fully reload the magazine, it has a stacking damage bonus, improves the super regen at higher stacks, and fires in full auto. So it's kinda like getting 4 perks in one. That makes that smaller than average 27-round magazine not as much of an issue. The Cursed Guitar with its 450 RPM fire rate is backed up by strong marks in reload, handling, and stability. And this weapon does have an exotic catalyst that is now available once again here in Season 13. This is going to extend the duration of String of Curses. And adversely to Vigilance Wing, I really think the Cursed Guitar's place to shine is in low to mid-level PvE activities. In the Crucible, it adheres to the lightweight frame damage profile, which is not great. We're hitting for 25 points of damage on a crit and 16 points of damage to the body. The optimal time to kill I have pegged at 0.93 seconds with 8 crits. And the body shot time to kill comes in at 1.33 seconds with 13 shots landed. In PvP, the damage boost you're going to see is 10% for each kill. Very similar to Rampage, but stacking up to 5 times for a 50% damage increase. And all in all, it's a pretty agile pulse rifle, so it can be used aggressively, and if you're someone who can really rack up kills with this weapon, you're going to see a nice reduction in your super cooldown. Outside of the damage profile though, I think the biggest limiting factor is the range. Seeing damage fall off past the 33 meter mark, and in the current sandbox, that's not great. Moving over to PvE though, and looking at our single target damage, a crit lands on Carl for 1082 points of damage, so total damage in one magazine is 29,214 with all crits. Time to empty our magazine comes in at 3.31 seconds, so damage per second in one magazine is 8,826. I feel pretty safe in saying though that single target damage output is not why you're going to equip the Cursed Guitar. This weapon thrives in clearing adds, and the more adds the merrier. Each add that you down refills your magazine, and you gain a stack of String of Curses. And the damage bonus in PvE is going to double that of PvP, so you're getting a 20% damage bonus for each stack. At the maximum of 5 stacks, we're getting a 100% damage increase. And if you can keep these stacks active, which the Catalyst really helps in doing, extending the expiration timer to about 5 seconds, you're going to see really big gains in your super meter. When I recently reviewed the Cursed Guitar, I was able to get my super back in 2 minutes at tier 5 intellect, looking at only the effect of the gun itself. But bad Juju is going to falter a bit when the adds dry up in an encounter. And it can be a little more difficult to use in higher level content due to its lower base damage and limited range. In general though, for low to mid level content, if you like to press your super button as often as possible, bad Juju might be the pulse rifle for you. Next up on our list, no time to explain. Codename, the Turret Buddy. The Turret Buddy's the newest exotic pulse rifle in the lineup. It was in D1, but didn't reach D2 until the Beyond Light expansion. This weapon's most in line with our high impact pulse rifles, firing at 340 rounds per minute with a small 24 round magazine. But the stat line for that archetype is pretty incredible. The only thing it really comes up a little light in is the aim assist. But there's 2 big features on this weapon. First, rewind again. Precision shots, and shots against combatants frozen or slowed by stasis, will return to the magazine. The second is time slip. At 10 stacks of rewind again, you'll summon your Turret Buddy. This is very similar to a Warlock's Arc Soul, but it does fire hit scan projectiles, and if you're landing precision shots, it will extend the duration. The catalyst for the Turret Buddy will allow the Turret Buddy to fire more often. This is a pulse rifle that I think works pretty well on both sides of the game. I think it might be a little more viable in PvP, but in PvE, I mean, if you want to use it, it can do the job. But every bullet fired from the weapon itself is hitting Carl for 1,530 points of damage. If we have a Turret Buddy active, it will also fire a 3-round burst, with each bullet registering for 1,043 points of damage. And the time interval between the bursts seems to be about 3/4 of a second. And as long as we continue to land crits, those bullets are going back into our magazine, and we're adding seconds to the Turret Buddy timer. So single mag damage in theory is infinite. But the damage per second, I have it figured at 12,847 with the Turret Buddy active and the catalyst unlocked. Which is a pretty cool feature. Being able to sustain damage for a prolonged period of time while outputting pretty solid damage for a primary can be quite helpful. It clears out packs of trash adds pretty efficiently and can put the hurt on a major target. Plus we also have that built-in diet stasis synergy. I don't know if the bullets being refunded on a frozen or slowed target is a selling point to run stasis if you're not already, but it's certainly a plus if you are. And in the Crucible, this is a really solid gun. Crits register 36 points of damage, and a body shot's gonna land for 22. That puts the optimal time to kill at 0.67 seconds with 5 crits and 1 body shot. Body shot time to kill is gonna come in at 1.33 seconds with 9 shots landed. And shots fired from our Turret Buddy are gonna land for 11 points of damage. So if 3 shots land, that's almost giving you a free crit. This can be extremely nice. Even though you're still gonna need 2 trigger pulls to hit your optimal time to kill, it's gonna lower it ever so slightly, needing 1 less bullet from that second burst to land. And if nothing else, it's applying passive damage to a target. And as I've said in the past, More damage is always better than not more damage. But just that base, that 0.67 second optimal time to kill that 340 pulses see is extremely competitive. And in general, the trade-off for that time to kill is lower marks in some stat categories. High impact pulses generally have poor marks in reload and handling. No time to explain negates this issue. But being a slower burst fire weapon, this might not be the best pairing for a player with a run and gun playstyle. And you do need to be landing your crits if you want to make the most out of this weapon. But with good aim and good positioning, No Time to Explain can be a top tier pick in PvP. Moving right along, we have Graviton Lance, codename the Gumball Machine. It's the only exotic pulse rifle that falls in the energy slot. This weapon fires a 2-round burst and has a pretty strange damage profile, which we'll look at in just a minute. It's packing 30 rounds in the magazine and firing at 257 rounds per minute. The stats on this gun look really nice. We've got maxed out stability, strong marks in reload and handling, very good range that's being boosted up by the catalyst, which also gives this weapon hidden hand, for increased aim assist. The intrinsic trait is Black Hole, basically stating that the second bullet of the burst carries the bulk of the damage, and sees no damage fall off. This makes the weapon feel more like a scout rifle than it does a true pulse rifle. The exotic perk is Cosmology. If you kill an enemy with Graviton Lance, they're going to detonate, and they're also going to spawn Void Seeker projectiles that look like grape gumballs. These will lock onto and track down targets. For use in PvP, at one point in time, Graviton Lance was an elite weapon. But over time, just because of shifts in the sandbox, this weapon's value has diminished. If we land a double crit, we're looking at 16 and 57, for a total of 73. Both shots land to the body, we're looking at 10 and 36, for a total of 46. This puts the optimal time to kill at 1 second. 3 secondary bullets will need to land as crits, and 2 of the initial bullets will need to make contact. Body shot time to kill though, comes in at 1.87 seconds, where 9 consecutive bullets need to land. The Gumball Machine does have a nice upside in the Crucible though. The second bullet sees no damage fall off. This weapon is very accurate, it's extremely stable, it handles well, and has strong marks and aim assist. And it also has the potential to cause collateral damage through the Cosmology perk. Everything about this gun still feels great, but the split bullet damage and the damage profile really hold it back. There's always a chance that one of the bullets from the burst is gonna miss, and if it's the second one, it really tanks your damage. Then the 1 second optimal time to kill. That on its own isn't the issue. 120 RPM hand cannons have a 1 second time to kill, and they're currently fantastic. But with a damage buff, they can see a 0.5 second 2-tap, where the Gumball Machine cannot. And maybe a bigger speed bump for the Gumball Machine right now is Dead Man's Tail. They're both exotic, they both thrive at long range, but Dead Man's Tail does have 2-tap potential. Plus with the catalyst it gets a faster fire rate and increased hip fire accuracy. So this weapon's really stepping on the Gumball Machine's toes. But in PvE, this weapon is still exceptional. Versus Carl, a double crit's registering for 3,886 points of damage. So that's 58,290 points of damage in a magazine. The magazine can be expended in 6.85 seconds, so damage per second through one mag comes in at 8,510. The Gumball Machine's real strength though lies in ad clearing, and it does so in spectacular fashion. The per shot damage for a primary is pretty high, so you don't need to commit many bullets to down a target. Plus, range and damage fall off isn't something that you need to concern yourself with. And when you down a target, not only do they explode, but they will spawn those Void Seeker orbs. And if another enemy goes down to either of these effects, they're gonna detonate too. When this chain reaction starts rolling, and packs of enemies start blowing up and throwing those Void Seeker orbs everywhere, it is truly a sight to behold. So Graviton Lance, while it does falter a little bit in the Crucible currently, in PvE, this gun's still pretty amazing. Our last exotic pulse rifle is Outbreak Perfected, codename Don't Tell Saladin. Also known as the one I don't have the catalyst for, but this one can get pretty wild. It's firing at 450 rounds per minute with 36 rounds in the magazine. The stat line on this weapon is pretty average, but I always thought that it performed better than the stats would suggest. The intrinsic trait is the Corruption Spreads. Don't Tell Saladin creates nanite swarms on rapid hits and precision kills. The exotic perk for this weapon is Parasitism. The weapon does more damage to enemies based on the number of Siva nanites that attach to them. And it also does come equipped with Outlaw. The catalyst on this weapon, which I do not have, increases nanite damage, and enemies that die with nanites attached to them generate additional nanites. And just a side note, I know that a lot of you have asked for a full Outbreak Perfected review, and I'm hoping to see the catalyst added back into the game next season. So just hold tight till season 14 for that full review. But honestly, just on its own, Don't Tell Saladin is a really good gun. In PvP, we're critting for 25 points of damage and body shots are landing for 16. Exactly the same as Bad Juju and our other 450 RPM pulse rifles. Optimal time to kill comes in at 0.93 seconds and the body shot time to kill comes in at 1.33. But if you rapidly land 3 bursts to the body, the next burst will be lethal because a nanite will attach. On a kill, we're going to spawn 9 nanites, and each one of these nanites that makes contact with an enemy player will do approximately 11 points of damage. And not only is this causing collateral damage, but the enemy target's going to take more damage from the bullets fired from the gun itself. And I gotta say, Don't Tell Saladin has always felt like such a smooth and responsive gun. It feels accurate, it feels stable, the bullets feel sticky. Some people have even suggested that this weapon has a hidden intrinsic trait, Persistence from Destiny 1, where sustained fire increases stability, which might explain the little bit of a discrepancy between the feel of the gun and the stat line of the gun. The gun just feels consistent, and bullets seem to land with very little effort. The biggest problem that I see in PvP though, is we are dealing with that 450 RPM pulse rifle damage profile. This weapon can get outgunned, but in terms of PvE, Don't Tell Saladin is a very strong primary weapon. The base damage is the same of that as a lightweight pulse rifle, but as we continually land shots and those nanites start to attach, our damage begins to ramp up. Just within one magazine, our bullet damage ramped up 150%, and it is going to go up from there. But totaling out all of the damage values for the first magazine, and it is possible that I missed a number because there's kind of a lot going on here, but I totaled things out to 67,371. This damage is delivered in 4.76 seconds, so damage per second comes in at 14,426. Here's the kicker though, if you have multiple teammates running Outbreak, the nanites that they spawn will also be increasing your damage. So, I mean, things can escalate quickly. And just the nanite swarm damage on its own is no joke. It packs a pretty good punch, and they track onto targets quite aggressively. So Outbreak Perfected kinda feels like a weapon that can do it all. It's a solid gun in PvP, and in PvE, it can do the job at clearing ads and delivers strong single target damage for a primary weapon. This is a very, very good gun. And that's gonna do it. That's all of them. All 5 exotic pulse rifles. Here's a side-by-side comparison breaking down some of the points that we touched on during the video. And obviously, I didn't cover absolutely every aspect of every gun because I didn't want this to be a 2-hour video. But hopefully I was able to give you enough information wrapped up in a nice little package to give you a sense of how these weapons stack up against each other. In my rankings, based on nothing but personal preference, for PvP, I'll take Vigilance Wing, Graviton, No Time to Explain, Outbreak, and then Bad Juju. In PvE, it'll go Outbreak, Graviton, Bad Juju, No Time to Explain, and then Vigilance Wing. But that's just me, and I would never tell anybody not to use a weapon that they enjoy using. I've always been a big advocate for the mindset of try them all, and make the decision for yourself. But if you did enjoy this video, both liking and or subscribing are greatly appreciated. If you'd like to contact me, you can look for Ironworker814 on Twitter, join our channel Discord, link will be in the description, or comment down below, and I will do my best to get back to you. And with all that being said, I'd like to thank you for taking the time out of your day to check out this pulse rifle breakdown. You guys are awesome, and I will catch you on the next one.